Okay, picture this. The most advanced car you can possibly imagine. A multi-million-dollar masterpiece of engineering. Now, what if its biggest weakness, the one thing that could cause a total disaster, was a tiny little part you could find in any hardware store? Sounds crazy, right? Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, we're talking about the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And look, this thing isn't just a car, it's basically a Formula One racer with license plates. We're talking the absolute peak of car design. All carbon fiber, crazy aerodynamics, and a wild hybrid engine. I mean, by every measure, it should be a perfect machine. But is it really?
And that's really the heart of the story, isn't it? What happens when a machine that's built with, microscopic precision has this simple, almost funny mistake buried deep inside of it? Well, the answer turns out to be a huge lesson in why the tiniest little details can make all the difference.
So how do we even know about this? Well, the whole thing came out because of an official recall notice that was filed over in Germany. So, this isn't some rumor or a post on a car forum. Nope. This is a real, documented safety bulletin, and it points to a major problem in one of the most exclusive cars on the entire planet.
So, how many cars are we talking about? The recall affects 137 Valkyries all around the world. And yeah, I know, 137 might not sound like a huge number. But you gotta remember, for a hypercar like this, with a super limited production run, that's actually a pretty big chunk of all the Valkyries out there on the road.
And get this, it wasn't just a one-time mistake, like a single bad batch. No, the recall covers cars that were built over a 4-year span. We're talking from June 2020 all the way to December 2024. That's huge. It tells you that this tiny little flaw was literally baked into the manufacturing process for years, and somehow nobody caught it.
All right, so what could the problem possibly be, right? You'd think it's something super complex, like a software bug in the engine computer, or maybe an issue with the high-voltage battery. The truth, though, is way, way simpler. And honestly, it's kind of shocking.
There it is. The whole problem comes down to screws. Yep, you heard me, screws. Specifically, the ones used to hold a locking plate on the fuse box. They were just made a little bit too long. A tiny part that probably costs, what, a few cents? That's the root cause of this entire multi-million-dollar headache.
So here's how it all goes wrong. It's like a simple, disastrous chain reaction. First, those oversized screws get installed. Then, as they're tightened, that little bit of extra length lets them push right into the main wiring harness that's sitting just behind the fuse box. And you have to understand, that wiring harness is basically the car's central nervous system. It controls everything. And, well, you can imagine what happens when you start messing with a car's nervous system. The consequences are, to put it mildly, severe. We're not talking about an annoying rattle or a check engine light coming on. We are talking about real, serious, and immediate dangers to anyone inside that car.
So, the official recall notice lays it all out. That damaged wiring could lead to a total failure of the drive system. I mean, just imagine that happening when you're at highway speed. Or it could cause all the lights to just switch off in the middle of the night, or you could lose your power steering completely. Basically, any critical system in the car could just give up without any warning at all. And all of this because a screw is a few millimeters too long. It's wild.
And as if all that wasn't bad enough, on top of everything else, those damaged wires could short out. That could cause the fuse box to overheat. And the official notice, well, it doesn't beat around the bush about the worst-case scenario. It says it right there. A significant risk of fire.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you fix something this major? A flaw that could literally cause the car to catch fire or just shut down? Well, you'll love this. Just like the problem, the solution is surprisingly simple.
First, let's get the official stuff out of the way. These are the codes for the recall, which are super important for owners and mechanics. You've got Aston Martin's internal code, R-18-2044, and then the German Transport Authority, the KBA, they're tracking it with the reference number 15104R. Basically, these are the numbers a workshop uses to look everything up and make sure they get the right parts for the fix.
And this just sums up the whole story perfectly, doesn't it? The official fix for a multi-million-dollar hypercar that's at risk of catching fire is to just replace the screws. That's it. A technician takes out the screws that are too long and puts in screws that are the right length. Boom, problem solved.
Now look, the story of the Valkyrie is just fascinating. But there's a really important lesson in here for every single one of us who owns a car. And it doesn't matter if you drive a hypercar or a hatchback.
And that lesson boils down to this question. Could your car have an open recall? Because these things are issued all the time for pretty much every make and model you can think of, and they're always about safety. These aren't just suggestions, they're official warnings about a defect that could put you, your family, or other people on the road in danger.
But here's the good news. It is super easy to check. All you have to do is contact an authorized dealer for whatever brand your car is. You just need to give them your vehicle identification number, your VIN. That's that long 17-digit code you can usually see on the dashboard, through the windshield, or on a sticker inside the driver's door. You give them that number, and they can tell you instantly if there are any open safety recalls for your exact car.
And listen, this is a really important point. Safety recalls are tied to the car itself, to the VIN, not to the owner. So it doesn't matter if you bought your car brand new or secondhand. The manufacturer is legally required to do the recall repairs for free. Just because a previous owner didn't get it done, that doesn't change your right to have a safe car.
So, the story of the Aston Martin Valkyrie and its tiny, oversized screws is just a perfect reminder, isn't it? In the world of engineering, the smallest, tiniest details can have the absolute biggest consequences. It really proves that no machine, no matter how advanced or how expensive, is immune to simple human error. And it kind of leaves you with one last question to think about. What tiny, overlooked detail might be hiding in your car's past?